Stop for a second. Think about the last time someone left you feeling completely drained without doing anything obviously wrong. That wasn't random. Your nervous system was screaming at you, but you rationalized it away. Here's what nobody tells you. The ability to cut people out of your life isn't cold. It's survival. And if you don't learn the skill now, you'll spend years bleeding energy to people who never deserved access to you in the first place. Why? Your gut feeling is never wrong about people. Listen, your subconscious is processing about 11 million pieces of information per second. Your conscious mind? Around 40. That means 99.999% of what you're detecting about someone is happening below your awareness. That weird feeling you get around certain people isn't mystical. It's your brain catching patterns your conscious mind hasn't labeled yet. Here's what's messed up. We've been socialized to override our biological warning systems. Someone makes you uncomfortable. You're told you're being judgmental. Your stomach drops when their name pops up on your phone. You're told you're overthinking. Your body tenses up in their presence. You're told to give them another chance. This is insane. Your autonomic nervous system evolved over millions of years to keep you alive. It doesn't care about social politeness. It cares about threat detection. And when it flags someone, it's not making a suggestion. It's issuing a warning. Research from the University of Chicago found that our intuitive judgments about people's trustworthiness are accurate about 70% of the time within the first 7 seconds of meeting them. 7 seconds. Your gut knows faster than your brain can articulate why. But here's where it gets complicated. Toxic people are masters at creating cognitive dissonance. They'll do something that triggers your alarms, then immediately do something kind. Your brain gets confused. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe they're not that bad. Wrong. That's called intermittent reinforcement, and it's the same mechanism that makes gambling addictive. The digital knife isn't about becoming heartless. It's about becoming honest. It's about stopping the internal negotiation you do every time someone violates your boundaries. It's about trusting that first signal instead of waiting for the 10th violation to finally take action. Think about how much time you've wasted trying to figure out if someone is toxic, analyzing their behavior, making excuses, hoping they'll change. Meanwhile, your nervous system knew from day one. It was screaming the answer, and you kept asking for more evidence. Here's the shift. Stop treating your instinct like a hypothesis that needs proof. Start treating it like data that demands action. When someone feels wrong, they are wrong for you. Period. You don't need a PowerPoint presentation to justify protecting your peace. The people who drain you aren't going to announce themselves. They're going to seem normal, even charming. But your body knows. It always knows. The question is whether you're finally ready to listen. So tell me, who in your life makes you feel exhausted just thinking about seeing them? And why are you still making excuses for keeping them around? What toxic people do that slowly destroys your self-trust? Here's the pattern. Energy vampires don't attack your boundaries directly. They erode them, slowly, methodically, until you don't even recognize what healthy interaction looks like anymore. They operate through confusion. One day, they're your biggest supporter. The next day, they're undermining you in subtle ways you can't quite articulate. You start questioning yourself. Am I being too sensitive? Am I imagining this? No, you're not. That confusion is the strategy. Gaslighting isn't always dramatic. Most of the time, it's micro. It's someone rewriting history just slightly enough that you doubt your own memory. It's them acting hurt when you establish a boundary, making you the villain for protecting yourself. It's turning every conversation about their behavior into a conversation about your reaction. A study from the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found that people in toxic relationships experience a 23% decrease in their ability to make decisions independently. That's not weakness. That's what happens when someone systematically teaches you to distrust your own judgment. And here's what makes it worse. These people often position themselves as victims. They've perfected the art of making their dysfunction your responsibility. Every boundary you set is abandoning them. Every time you prioritize yourself is you being selfish. They weaponize your empathy against you. The digital knife cuts through this immediately. No long conversations about why the relationship isn't working. No attempt to make them understand. No closure ritual where you both get to say your piece. Just distance. Clean. Immediate. Non-negotiable. Your brain is going to fight you on this. It's going to say, but what if I'm wrong? Or, maybe I should try one more time. That's trauma bonding talking. That's the part of you that got conditioned to accept breadcrumbs and call it a meal. Here's the reality check you need. If someone consistently makes you feel bad about yourself, that's not a relationship problem. That's a them problem. And you can't fix people who don't think they're broken. You can only remove yourself from the blast radius. The hardest part isn't cutting them off. It's staying cut off. They'll circle back. They always do. With apologies that sound sincere. With promises of change. With reminders of good times. Your job is to remember why you left, not why you stayed. Think about this. What's one relationship where you keep hoping for change instead of accepting what's actually happening right in front of you? Real talk. When was the last time you chose your mental health over someone else's comfort? Hit that like button if this is landing and subscribe, because we're going deeper into the psychology nobody wants to discuss. Why cutting people off is actually self-respect, not cruelty. Let's destroy a myth right now. You are not required to maintain relationships that damage you. Not with family, not with childhood friends, not with anyone. Loyalty to people who hurt you isn't virtue. It's self-betrayal with better PR. Society has sold you the story that cutting people off makes you cold, damaged, or incapable of love. That's manipulation dressed as wisdom. The truth, knowing when to walk away, is one of the most emotionally intelligent things you can do. Here's what nobody explains. Some people are in your life to teach you exactly what you won't tolerate. The lesson isn't learning to endure. The lesson is learning to leave. And the faster you learn it, the less damage you accumulate. The digital knife is precision, not rage. It's not about burning bridges publicly or creating drama. It's about quiet removal. It's about valuing your energy more than their opinion of you. It's about understanding that your presence in someone's life is a privilege, not a right. Think of it this way. You have limited emotional bandwidth. Every single day, toxic people consume that bandwidth like a virus, eating up your computer's processing power. If 80% of your energy goes to managing dysfunction, what's left for actually building the life you want? Nothing. Here's what happens after you cut. First week, guilt. Your nervous system is processing the absence of a routine, not mourning the person. Second week, you notice you're sleeping better, thinking clearer, smiling more. It's like someone turned off a noise you'd gotten so used to, you forgot it was even there. And here's the part that'll surprise you. When you remove toxic energy, you don't end up alone. You create space, and better people show up. People who match your new standard. People who add instead of subtract. But you have to make the space first. The biggest fear is isolation. What if I cut everyone off and I'm left with nobody? Fair question. Wrong frame. Quality beats quantity every single time. 5 genuine connections beat 50 superficial ones where half of them are actively harmful. You're going to lose people when you start protecting your peace. Some you'll miss, some you thought were essential. That's the cost. But you know what costs more? Spending decades investing in people who are destroying you and realizing too late that you deserved better. The whole time, people will call you ruthless, cold, unforgiving. Let them. They're not paying your therapy bills. They're not the ones lying awake replaying toxic conversations. You are, and your peace isn't up for debate. Here's the real question. Which relationship is costing you more than it's giving you? And what would your life look like if you finally had the courage to let it go? That's the question that changes everything. When are you going to stop negotiating with people who don't deserve a seat at your table? Like this? If you're ready for that, shift and subscribe for more unfiltered truth about protecting your mental health, how to build an automatic detection system for toxic people. Your instinct doesn't need fixing. It's already perfect. The problem is, you've spent years training yourself to ignore it. Now, you need to reverse engineer that conditioning and start trusting the alarm system you were born with. Let's be clear about something. Every single time you've had a bad feeling about someone and pushed it down, what happened next? Exactly what your gut warned you about. Your track record on intuition is probably close to 100%. The failure wasn't your instinct. It was your decision to rationalize instead of act. Your body tells you everything. Jaw tension, chest tightness, sudden fatigue after interactions. That urge to check your phone mid-conversation, looking for an escape route. These aren't random symptoms. They're warnings, and you keep dismissing them like they're malfunctioning equipment. Research from the Association for Psychological Science shows that our bodies react to threats before our conscious minds recognize them, often by as much as 7 seconds. Your nervous system is literally ahead of your thoughts. When you override it, you're choosing denial over survival. The digital knife becomes automatic when you stop arguing with your intuition. Someone triggers your internal alarms. You don't need evidence. You don't need witnesses. You don't need to build a case. You just need to create distance. Immediate. No explanation required. Here's what makes this powerful. Toxic people hate clear boundaries. They thrive in gray areas. In maybe one more chance, and let's talk about this. When you cut without negotiation, there's no room for manipulation. And that's exactly the point. Try this exercise. After every social interaction, check in with yourself. Do I feel better or worse than before? If the answer is consistently worse, you just identified someone who needs to be removed. It's that simple. No deep analysis required. Just action. The world will tell you this is extreme, that you're being too harsh, that relationships require work. Ignore all of it. Those people aren't carrying your emotional burden. They don't wake up at a m replaying toxic exchanges. You do. Here's the brutal truth. You will lose people. Some you love deeply. Some you thought were irreplaceable. It will hurt. But you know what hurts more? Wasting years of your life on people who were destroying you and realizing too late that you deserved protection, not patience. Your mental health is not a bargaining chip. It's not something you put on the table to make others comfortable. It's your foundation, your non-negotiable, and anyone who threatens it loses access. No appeals process. So here's your final thought. If you knew you only had 6 months left, how many people currently in your life would still be there? And how many would you finally have the courage to release? That question rewrites everything. Are you ready to stop tolerating what's killing you slowly and start protecting who you actually are? Like if this hit home, subscribe for more raw truth, and share this with someone who needs permission to choose themselves. Because there are people out there drowning in toxic relationships, waiting for someone to tell them it's okay to swim to shore. Disclaimer: this content is for educational and informational purposes regarding mental health and interpersonal relationships. It does not replace professional support from licensed therapists or counselors. If you are experiencing abusive relationships or dangerous situations, please seek specialized professional help immediately.